Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we want to talk about exciting work that is being done by the Urban Development Corporation, one of the significant public sector institutions in the country. Its CEO, Dr. Damian Graham, is here with us. We thank you so much for your company. Dr. Graham, good to have you on the set.
Thank you for having me.
I want to talk about the overarching vision of UDC. Is the UDC going in a new direction? Is there a new energy with the UDC? Have you received a new mandate since this government has been in office?
Well, I believe the UDC's direction can be summed up in our compelling story, and it's like a shot of adrenaline to the heart of an agency that has been around for the last 49 years, prodding along, doing good work over the last 5 decades. But with the requirements of Vision 2030, we have to look at a new focus. Our compelling story imagines, first of all, that in Kingston, ground zero, at the UDC headquarters, we would have, on the 62nd anniversary of our existence, 500,000 people on the waterfront between Festival Marketplace all the way along the promenade, going around to the newly built Henry Morgan Park in Port Royal, and that people will be there celebrating, looking at the fireworks, and that's being broadcasted pay-per-view to the diaspora. And then in Montego Bay, you have the newly built Freedom Park, as people are calling it now, with 300,000 people, a promenade there, 3 beaches renovated. In the newly built third city, we would have the Prime Minister, the Governor General, and the Mayor opening the ribbon to the newly built Smart City Center that's there. We will be the 4th logistics hub in the world. And we would have transformed the ecosphere of Jamaica and the ecology based on interventions such as putting in eco-attractions across the landscape that we have right now, adding to some of the places like Duns River, Reach Falls, the Fort Clarence product that the UDC already operates. We see the UDC as driving that change instrumentally, and the talent of the UDC will be used in a much different way. We're looking at exporting talent, and therefore the UDC being not just integral in the development nationally for the various towns and cities, building new parks, building new areas of attraction, causing development to happen, such as redevelopment of towns, downtown Montego Bay, Ocherius are examples, but also looking at entire islands and places that need talent like ours where we can export it. And then we would have truly fulfilled our mandate of making development happen, not just nationally, but in a way that has an impact nationally, but regionally as well. So we have a big heart, but a big mind.
Yes.
And we're refocusing our efforts based on our heritage.
So your vision of the UDC is to see it exporting its services and to have other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean looking to the UDC for infrastructural support, for the kinds of services that the UDC offers?
Definitely. So the board of the UDC and management have looked at it, and we've looked long and hard at what is our best asset. Our best asset at the UDC is our people. We have well over 130 qualified, highly qualified, highly trained professionals that over the last 5 decades have done impressive work. If you look at the waterfront, you look at Montego Bay, you look at Ocherius, all of that was done and planned by UDC. We brought the talent in, we brought the contractors in, we got it done. Now, in the future going forward, we have to use those assets and use them much more differently. And so for us, our compelling story is about bringing to life and using those assets in a much more effective way.
So contrary to the view that UDC might be choking off and constricting local talent, for overseas, i.e., Chinese expertise. The UDC is seeking to open up more opportunities for engineers,
Absolutely.
to open up more opportunities for technical people.
Absolutely. I mean, this year alone, within the last 3 months, we've advertised some 24 new positions within our organization, looking at new planners, architects, engineers, persons to come on board to help us. We've looked at augmenting our capacity because we're looking at master planning, not just in terms of doing 2 to 3 year projects, single buildings, but entire townships.
I see.
And so when you approach master planning, not just of a single town, but also on a national level where you're doing multiple towns, the capacity that is needed is much differently. We've invited that kind of expertise, but that has not changed our ability to ensure that we get the local professionals in the UDC to be working alongside us, and where necessary, we contract out and ask for the consultants and other services to be a part of that transformation story.
Do you see a need to work more closely with the Jamaican Institute of Engineers to work with our local professionals to ensure that some of the misunderstandings which have taken place recently do not recur?
Absolutely. And we have done our best to try and do that by engaging in conversation.
You have been.
As well as ensuring that, in the upcoming GIE week, we'll be participating in the conference. I'm a member of the GIE. I'm a registered member, a registered engineer. We have registered architects as well. We try to have that dialogue. And, there's never going to be a time when there's an absence of dialogue. Dialogue is what allows us to exchange meaning and then move the agenda forward. So I do agree with you, and we've worked to try to ensure that that happens.
Yes. Dr. Damian Graham is the CEO of the Urban Development Corporation, and he's telling us of some of the exciting plans that the corporation has. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Welcome back. Dr. Damian Graham is the CEO of the Urban Development Corporation, and we're talking about the plans and the thrust of the corporation. I know that one of your big projects is the redevelopment of downtown Kingston. How is that going?
It's tremendous. We have 17 zones in the entire development plan. One of the big things in that area is the government campus and houses of Parliament.
Built, yeah.
Correct. It is 300 acres.
300 acres?
300 acres. For that one, we've put together a master plan working with augmented capacity from an MOU that the government entered into with some CCA, SA. And we're almost in the twilight of bringing that to a close, where the government will make a determination on moving forward with bidding and procurement, with local and international persons coming on board. With
local people coming on board, not just the Chinese?
Not just not just any international
group.
person coming on board. And I want to make it very clear, the Prime Minister, in his delivery of the project, pointed out that the Parliament and the museum in that master plan zone will be built by Jamaicans.
Oh,
yeah, so that's an affirmative guarantee.
I see.
And as project managers, the UDC was given that as a context within the mandate, and we're following through with that. Another one on that project is that it is supposed to be net neutral, neutral to the impact of the fiscal space for the government. And so we've ensured that how we're presenting the package, taking it through the process with discussion with the Ministry of Finance, is respecting the fiscal space and the government's rationalization of the public sector that is taking place. We are already working on some of that with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade building. It's an 11-story building worth almost $4 billion. The UDC was asked to step in with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to ensure that the grant funding being provided by China was utilized. And since November of last year, our parent ministry, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, asked us to step in, and we've been taking that project through. It will be delivered next year. That's a major investment for downtown. Grace Kennedy, right across the road from that, has started construction on their building, and they're also moving ahead with pace. We have the UN house that is coming downtown at the Jamaica Conference Center space there. We're doing upgrades with the Ministry of National Security to the security apparatus downtown. If you go downtown now in that area, you'll see cameras going up. There's no new zoning with respect to security and emergency services to accommodate all of that. The old Oceana Hotel was divested to King Church, and the UDC was asked to, on behalf of the government, carry out a refurbishment of the lower floor to house the Accountant General Department, which we have done so and delivered that project, albeit with some difficulties there. We have the rest of the development being undertaken by the developer. Victoria Pier is on its way to being reopened for the winter tourist season. They had a soft opening, and it was lights on the waterfront. It was a spectacular sight to have the Victoria Pier back in operation, and it's been 25 years since it's not happened. We have the Festival Marketplace that's next door, a $154 million investment that the UDC put in, and we'll be going to market soon to invite persons to come into that space to have the kiosks operating. It's supposed to be the ground zero for the lifestyle center, which I'm sure you would have heard about. It is to drive the connection of the 6 markets and the market district to come alive, because a part of downtown is that levity and vibe from the commerce that happens around Jubilee. We have Red Rose Market, which we're also running the project for, the fish market there. That will be completed soon. We have the Jubilee Market that we're also running the project there for. Altogether, we're talking about approximately $5 billion worth of projects that are happening at different...
So the markets will be transformed?
The markets will be transformed. The Lifestyle Center, let me speak a little bit more about that. It is about creating a hypermarket space. When you go to any world-class city, you can have tourists walking off the boat, going directly into the market and having a gastronomic experience. We want that to happen. The acceleration of commerce will be better when the services in the market space are better and persons are not congested, getting on top of one another to compete and sell. So the layout of the market would need to be addressed as well. And then there is the idea to bring additional service into the market to ensure that when people come, they can stay there. And it's not just to buy ground provisions alone. There are other services that can be there. So there's a group that has approached the government, and the UDC is working along with that group to drive that project forward. And I'm happy to report that in very short order, there should be some announcements coming out from our parent ministry regarding that. And then we look at the railway that is there. We're looking at ways, along with the Ministry of Transport, as to how we can bring the multimodal transport center into being. There is an opportunity for us to connect the activities of the top zone, which is where the government campus is, with the ocean front projects. And we're working through some of those ideas. The cruise shipping, we're looking at that coming back to Kingston, Port Royal, activating that space. these are all part of the exciting developments that are happening
Yes.
downtown. But a lot of people won't realize it when they come downtown, you know, unless you're zooming in and stopping by the UDC
Yes.
or watching Urban Scope
Yes.
or our website.
Yes, we allow you to push your program. We have to bring you back because we haven't talked about your plans for Falmouth, for Montego Bay, for St. Thomas. So we'll have to invite again Dr. Damian Graham, who is the CEO of the Urban Development Corporation. A lot of exciting things are taking place, and the UDC itself is going through its own transformation, which we'll talk about in the next program. I'll be back next week. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.